Welcome to Dina, Soul Steeper. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, I think we can keep on this one. We have Woodland Chasm. We got Volrath Stronghold. That's going to be Lano War Elves next turn. Yeah, I like this. I mean, we could be aggressive if we wanted to and kind of ship this one back, but I think we can keep on this one, especially with us being on the play. Hopefully we draw into that third land. If not, just leading off with Woodland Chasm, getting that down, going for Lano War Elves, I'll definitely be able to get some stuff moving on our side of the battlefield. And we're playing against Kess. So this should be very interesting. That will be a duress. So we'll see what they end up taking off. That's going to be a non-creature, non-land card. More than, well, either way, if they take Skyshroud Claim, that's probably the one card we don't want them to take. But if they do end up taking that, that'll still leave us with Ambition's Cost. That way we can at least get a little bit of card draw on the back end. So see what they decide to take on this. There we go. Take the Pestilent Cauldron, which is, it's okay. We can make that work. Let's go and lead off with a Woodland Chasm, and then anything else, let's go and pass it over to our opponent. We're playing Dina, Soul Steeper. Whenever a creature, whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Then for a 1-mana activation, sacrifice another creature. Dina gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. And let's see if we hit the land. Come on, Demonic Tutor. Well, we will certainly take that. So let's go for Lano War Elves. Yeah, I like that. So we go for Lano War Elves, but let's get Volrath Stronghold onto the battlefield, and then anything else, kick it back over there. Playing against Kess, Dissident Mage. Flying, during each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard. If a spell cast this way, we would put into your graveyard, exile it instead. And so if you've never played against Kess, Kess is a lot of fun. I enjoy playing Kess, and I enjoy playing against Kess, because the games are always very interesting. When you have your entire graveyard turn online like that, it's a pretty good feeling. So, run into Nature's Lore. Yeah, I think I actually like doing it this way. So let's go for Nature's Lore. This will be a good counterspell test. If they want to end up going for a counterspell, they can. If not, we're going to be able to get a forest on the battlefield. Let's go and grab Bayou, and let's get Dina on the battlefield. That'll work out with Lano War Elves. If they, once again, if they have a counterspell, or commander only costs 2, so that's a very nice feeling. So let's see what they do. It's going to be Mana Leak. Definitely not going to be able to pay for that. And then we will send Dina back to the command zone. So, anything else past the turn to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that's going to apply my affiliate link, allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you use that, hey, much obliged. Certainly appreciate that. If you're looking to play Commander online, check out MTGOTraders. They got you covered for all of your card needs. If you're looking for a new playmat for your spell table game, hey, sure, check out ingaming.com/Jolt for 10% off of your order. And last but not least, if you're still keeping score, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But it is officially free time. And it looks like our opponent missed their land drop, which we are A-okay with. All right, so we're looking at Essence Warden. And I think at this point, we just need to get as much value going as possible. So let's go for Skyshroud Claim. All right, so it's going to be Skyshroud Claim. We still will be able to grab, let's get this popped out. Let's go and grab Overgrown Tomb. And then we've got another forest that we can drop onto the battlefield. That'll be actually 3 black sources. We'll be pretty good on that. And do we have the necessary forest? I think we will with forest. Yeah, I think that actually does sound like a pretty good option. So Overgrown Tomb. And then not going to pay 2 life. We could go for Demonic Tutor. Yeah, we'll go and shock that one in. Yeah, let's go and shock that in. Let's go land drop. And then let's go for Demonic Tutor. Yeah, I kind of like this. So let's get Demonic Tutor crack. Let's get this popped out. And I think what we want to end up doing... Actually, I think at this point, I think what we'll end up doing is we're simply just going to go and grab Field of the Dead. I like that because with Field of the Dead, we have 6 different lands, and that's going to be really hard for Kess to deal with. One of the things when you're playing against Kess, or they've got tons of spot removal, they've got Countermagic, grabbing something like Field of the Dead, with us already having 6 different lands on the battlefield, that's going to make this Field of the Dead a lot easier for us to get these tokens going, and just kind of generating that extra value. Now, with them still not hitting the land drop, it is a bummer, but hey, we're going to keep playing the game out. So let's do this. So let's go Volrath Stronghold, let's go High Market, let's tap down black, and then tap down green. So let's get Dina onto the battlefield. If they still have another counterspell, so be it. If not, we'll have Dina on the battlefield, and that'll still allow us to at least go for Essence Warden, then get Offshoot onto the battlefield, and then still make the land drop and get in some extra value. So let's see what this is going to be. Okay, opponent's going to go for fact or fiction. And let's split it up like this. So it's going to be expedition map into the royal. Let's put expedition map into one pile. And this is a hard pile. We got Spellseeker into the royal. Yeah, I think I'm going to split it up like this. So we got Mana Vault, Spellseeker, and Expedition Map in one pile, then Into the Royal and Soul Ring in the other one. This is probably one of the, if not the hardest fact or fictions I've ever had to resolve in Commander, but I kind of like it like this, because if they go Soul Ring, then they just have Into the Royal, and then if they take this pile, they have a little bit extra value in Spellseeker, but still at the same time, you've got Mana Vault, which has a drawback, and Expedition Map that needs to be cracked. So let's see which pile they end up taking on this one, but... all right, so they're going to take Soul Ring, and they'll take the other one into the Royal. So, all right, so let's get Dina onto the battlefield. Let's still go and go for that line of play that I was talking about. So let's get Essence Warden on the battlefield first. Now let's go for Offshoot. That's going to be an extra life gain. Let's go and always yield to this extra life gain. Yeah, that was a very interesting fact or fiction right there. That was. Definitely interesting, because we do need to keep them off a color source for Kess. So let's go and make the lane drop. That's going to be Field of the Dead. And oh boy, look at that. That is going to be some zombies on the battlefield. So let's go and always yield to this offshoot trigger. We're going to get back up to 30, then down to 25. Let's yield to this Field of the Dead trigger. Oh, look at this. This is just absolute beauty. Anything else? We're going to go and swing in for 1 with the Lano War Elves. There we go. And then anything else, pass the turn over to our opponent. So, but yes, very nice little turn right there. Enjoyed that. That's, it's very interesting building Dina Soul Steeper, because, at its core, you do want some sort of aristocrats to it, but then you also want this like incremental life gain style effect to it. So it was definitely interesting building Dina. In fact, this is the second game that I'm playing with it, so I'm excited to see how it's working out. But just getting down something like Offshoot and Essence Warden, start cashing in a bunch of extra tokens, or extra triggers, I should say. That's some pretty good magic right there. Now, we don't have a land in the graveyard. Now, let's see, Bastion of Remembrance. Okay. Now, we do want to get this down. One of the main reasons is if there is a... So let's go black, high market, and then Field of the Dead. Let's get Bastion down, and we still have the 1 green mana activation. So we'll see if this Bastion is going to be good or not. Even if they do have Countermagic, we're still going to have Ambition's Cost to follow it up with. And so that way we can try to draw into a little bit more stuff, or at the very least, just find a fetch land and start kind of grinding it out with Offshoot, getting those landfall triggers. And one of the main things why we want this Bastion to stick, so if our opponent does have Countermagic and maybe they're trying to set up a board wipe for next turn, if we can get this Bastion to stick on the battlefield, it's not going to win us the game, but it's also going to be a pretty big life total hit for them if we can get Bastion to stick, and they do try to follow it up with some sort of board wipe. So let's see what this is going to be. That's going to be 2 mana. It's going to be mana drain for 3. Okay, we can survive off of that. Let's go and go for Ambition's Cost. And that's going to be Kodama's Reach in Pawn of Ulamog and Collective Brutality. Okay, so let's go and swing in with the entire crew. Not going to be able to swing in with the 0-3 because the 0-3 has Defender. But at least getting in for at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll take that. So we're going to swing in for 5, knock them down to 18. And then anything else, pass it back over to our opponent. Now, this is where the game kind of gets interesting. We drew into one of our all-star cards. It's going to be Pawn of Ulamog. One of the cool things about Pawn of Ulamog is that whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you get to create that mini 0/1 spawn creature token. So this is kind of the point in the game with Dina to where, we've got an Enter the Battlefield in Essence Warden. Life gain effect. We've got an Enter the Battlefield life gain with the land entering the battlefield. We have Dina on the battlefield. And now we're at the point to where we have all these extra value pieces on the battlefield. We've kind of chipped away at our opponent's life total. If we can get Pawn of Ulamog down, if we can start sacrificing some of these creatures, that might push us into the range of being able to close it out by going for some sort of aristocrat style win with that. And I think that's kind of one of the fun things in building Dina, or at least I thought about building Dina, was that you can use these just, we need to make lane drops. We need to get creatures on the battlefield. You can get Dina out very quickly and get that little aristocrats kind of chipping away at your opponent's life totals by simply doing your normal stuff you do in a commander game, and then use something like, amplifying effect with Pawn of Ulamog, and the fact that Dina does have, even though it is a 1-mana sack outlet, the fact that your commander still does have that sack outlet ability, that is a pretty good feeling. So that's going to be Opposition Agent. So the only downside with that is that that's going to cut us off Kodama's reach. Okay, so they're going to gain 1 life. We still have Collective Brutality, and so depending if they end up tapping out for Kess, maybe they get another color source down or something like that. With Collective Brutality, we at least can kind of take a peek at their hand and go for that -2. So I kind of like doing that. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. That's going to be Weather the Storm. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 8 mana. We might be able to storm our way out of this one. It's not that crazy. Okay, so let's do this. So let's go for Collective Brutality. And I think what we want to do on this one is with 3 modes. Yeah, I kind of like this. So we're going to discard. Target opponent reveals their hand. Target creature gets -2, -2, and the target opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. All right, so let's go and tap down for Volrath's Stronghold, and let's tap down for black. Let's discard Life from the Loam. Actually, no, let's do it this way. So let's discard Kodama's Reach, just because if Opposition Agent does stick around, it's not going to be that good for us. So let's go for Pawn of Ulamog. All right, so we've got Collective Brutality. Let's see what they've got. If they've got Countermagic, that's perfectly fine. But if not, we're going to be able to get the Storm count going. And that does sound kind of fun, especially if they want to try to counter this or do anything else. The only downside is if they somehow have some sort of answer for Dina. That would be the thing that we're looking out for. So see if this is going to be... That's going to be Snapcaster Mage. Okay, Storm count 2. And Weather the Storm, this is one of those cards that if we have it, we have it. Like, if we could somehow make it work, we can make it work, and it's looking like it might go that way. Okay, so let's go and always yield to this Dina trigger. So that's going to be Mana Leak. That's going to be Collective Brutality. Let's have them tap down for Collective Brutality. Not going to pay that 3. Because we still need... We can go 1, 2, 3... Yeah, that's going to cut us off. So we're not going to be able to pay for Collective Brutality. So let's go for Life from the Loam. And that's going to be Storm count 5. Once we end up going for Weather the Storm. Let's go and always yield to this Weather the Storm. And that's going to be Storm count 5. Let's go and click that OK. Okay, so let's go and always yield to that. Okay, so it's going to put them down to 10. We go up to 45. We still have the activation from Sap Seep 4, so I think we'll do that. So let's go for the green mana activation. We're going to gain 1 life. That's going to put us up to 46. That drops them down to 9. And then anything else, no, we're going to pass the turn. So we've still got Life from the Loam in the graveyard. And for a split second, I'll kind of explain what's going on. I thought we had the gate for a second, but I forgot with Dina's ability, it's whenever you gain life, they lose 1 life. It's not equal to the amount of life that you lost. That's why I was getting really excited about us hitting that Weather the Storm. That I was like, that's going to be 15. That's going to be just enough right there. But wasn't enough just right there. But we were able to get their life total down pretty far, and you can kind of showcase what having that little Weather the Storm is. And in fact, speaking of Weather the Storm, we do have Cloudstone Curio in here. And so with Cloudstone Curio, that's another way that we can, you can see we have Essence Warden, we have Offshoot, we have Lono War Elves. If we get late into the game, we just have a ton of mana. Being able to get Weather the Storm to go off in some form or fashion, hey, if you got the cards in the deck and you've got the board state that can support it, and why not have some fun? So let's see what we're ripping into, but if not, at this point, we're looking for Life from the Loam for sure. So let's go and dredge Life from the Loam. And unfortunately, we did not hit any lands off of that. So let's do this. So we've got Field of the Dead. We've got the Volrath's Stronghold. We'll put something on top if we wanted to. I think at this point, we just kind of start sending some of the crew in. So let's go and send that zombie token in right now. And either way, this zombie's going to be able to trade with Opposition Agent or Snapcaster Mage. So I think I kind of like that. So let's go and push in for a 2/2. But yeah, with that Weather the Storm, my head was thinking straight across the board, all right, this is just going to be 15 life that they lost. And I was like, oh, wait, it's per trigger, they lose 1 life. Okay. So a little bit of a misplay on that part, or at least miscalculation in my head, I should say. Let's go Life from the Loam. Yeah, because I think at this point, if we're trying to grind it out, one of the best ways is at least kind of dredging until we can start making some land drops. So let's make sure that we're doing okay. Yeah, tap down Field of the Dead, because we still have at least 2 life loss that we can drain our opponent for each turn. So that's going to be Sap Seep 4, so it's going to allow us to gain an extra life. And then with High Market, we're going to be able to sacrifice a creature and still gain a life and make them lose a life. So we've got a little bit of pressure. I'm not entirely sure if we want to end up going for High Market activations and kind of whittling away at our board state, but at least kind of see what our opponent's got assembled on their turn. Okay, so that is going to be a Yawgmoth Will out of our opponent's graveyard. So we're going to play Bloodstained Mire. I mean, they've got some good stuff in there, Fact or Fiction, Preordained. There's nothing that is overly crazy that we can't really deal with. A lot of this is just really good value stuff. They've got Duress, and we've got no cards in the hand right now. And so if they're going to be spending their turn doing that, yeah, let's see what else they got. Okay, so that's going to be Spell Seeker for a spell that is 2 or less. So let's go and always yield to this Essence Warden trigger. But yes, with that Weather the Storm, you know, there's sometimes when you're like, you know, think about how many commanders that Wizards release in a given year. And so you read the card and you understand the core concept of it, but sometimes my brain will just shortcut different things like that. So with Weather the Storm, man, I thought we had the game right there because I was like, all right, it's going to be Storm Count 5, and that's going to be 3 times 5, that'll be 15, and they're at 15, and then I was like, oh yes, with Weather the Storm, or with the actual Dina trigger, it's just live gain when it happens. So if you're new to Magic, I've been playing Magic for years now, and little stuff like that always rears its head up if you're not paying attention sometimes. So that's definitely one of the things. But you can definitely see where, you know, if we had a higher storm count or something going on in that turn, Weather the Storm is a perfectly fine card to run in a deck like this. All right, so we've got Earthquake for 3. And we have no other ways to kind of deal with our... So let's do this. So let's go for a sacrifice a creature. Let's go and sacrifice Offshoot. That way we can get that life gain. Let's go for the Forest activation. And that's going to be 3. And is there anything else that we end up going for? Because Dina's ability is a +X+0. Yeah, because I think either way, we're just going to be fine with that. So I'm just going to clear the entire board out. We're going to send our commander back to the command zone. And that does put them down to 2. So if we go for Dina next turn, I'm pretty sure Dina's at 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be a pretty good chunk of our turn. We'll see what else we can assemble. Now with Mana Vault, they're looking at 1 damage from Mana Vault during their turn if they don't untap it during their upkeep. So with them sitting at 2, but it also puts us in a spot to where we can just high market straight up on our commander. So I kind of like that. So let's see what's going on. So they're going to have Preordain. Now, do we want to end up going for Life from the Loam or not? Because Life from the Loam, because Dina's going to be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think we still end up going for Life from the Loam because, well, we don't necessarily need that land drop, actually. Like, we don't need to get zombies on the battlefield that bad. So let's just kind of see what we draw into for the turn. So not going to dredge Life from the Loam. Draw into Abrupt Decay, which is a very good thing to have. So let's go for Dina. That's going to be 6 total mana. All right, so we're going to tap out for Dina. Let's get Dina onto the battlefield. And with Abrupt Decay, we'll see what else they get out there. If they get any sort of problematic things for us, you know, we can definitely use it for that. But at this point, let's see if they remember that Mana Vault trigger? Let's see if they're going to pay that 4 or not. Yeah. Looks like they're going to get that going. And one of the good things about us, at least going into next turn, with them having to tap down that mana is, well, that's having these activated ability at instant speed. They almost need to find something this turn to get that going, because we can go for the Sap Seep Forest activation. That would force us to sacrifice. All right, so they're going to go for a Braid. And it's going to be 3 damage. You know what? Yeah, I think we're okay, though, because either way, we'll still go and sacrifice. Let's get that life gain. And we'll return her back to the command zone. Yeah, excuse me, that last interaction I was talking about, I forgot that. Technically, Dina wouldn't be on the battlefield for that. So at least that kind of fogged them out for a turn, having to untap Mana Vault. Let's see what we... Yeah, I think we still need to actually end up going for Life from the Loam, because we need to hit some land... Oh, my goodness. All right, so we hit 0 lands off of that Life from the Loam. Let's go for... Yeah, I mean, because now Dina's going to cost 8, so we really need to get almost kind of be on the Field of the Dead game plan. So let's go okay on Life from the Loam. Let's dump Life from the Loam into the graveyard. And that still keeps us open on Abrupt Decay, which I guess technically we could use Abrupt Decay on something like Expedition Map, but I don't really feel like we're that worried about that right now. So let's just go and hold on to Abrupt Decay and just kind of see what's going to happen. We do have Volraz Stronghold too. So that's something that if we want to try to utilize putting some sort of creature on top of our library to get some sort of extra effect. The only downside is, do we have any sort of... So we've got Veto, that's going to be life. So at least that is kind of good having that extra option. And they did end up going for Wasteland. So it's going to be Mana Vault. See if they're going to pay for the 4. We've got Offshoot in the graveyard, which will be a little bit of extra life gain. Yeah, you know, if we just had like a straight up Blood Artist effect, we could almost... All right, so they're going to go for Field of the Dead on Wasteland. So yeah, that's going to get it on that one. So it's going to stop the zombie game plan. But thankfully with Life from the Loam, we can dredge it and hopefully start hitting a few more lands and still get these zombies going back on the battlefield. And if they do get some sort of threat out there, if we can tag it with Abrupt Decay, we certainly will. But yeah, Wasteland's not the end of the world because, you know, that at least gives us an extra zombie on the battlefield for next turn to kind of put the pressure up. So we'll see what this is going to be. This is going to be Kess on the battlefield. Now, they've got Duress. You know, if they want to Duress, we might Duress in response to that, just going for Mana Vault. But I think at this point... Yeah, I think we will. So let's go for this. Let's go Abrupt Decay. And they're okay on color mana at this point right now. So I think at this point what we'll end up doing is just targeting Soul Ring. So that'll be a good option for us. So let's tap down black. Let's tap down green. It's going to be Abrupt Decay on Soul Ring that's going to be able to stick. And they'll have nothing else to discard. So, but yeah, at this point, I think we're pretty much just on the Life from the Loam game plan, because that's going to allow us to get at least zombies on the battlefield. They still have access to their graveyard to kind of start finding stuff, but with them kind of having already gone for Yawgmoth's Will, their graveyard's not as good as it can be. So hopefully we can start making our lane drops and get Dina back on the battlefield. That'll be a pretty good thing for us. So, all right, so see what we run into. Let's go and dredge that Life from the Loam. We're just looking for a couple more lands. That is, hey, we will take that. That is 3 lands that we can grab. So let's go Life from the Loam. Let's go Bloodstained Mire, Yavimaya Hollow, and Field of the Dead. And if they do counter this spell, you know, we've got next turn to do something about it. But at least, all right, so that will end up being counter spell. And then anything else, we'll go ahead and pass the turn. So, yeah, we're still pretty much going to be on the Life from the Loam game plan, because Life from the Loam is going to give us 2 different things. You know, Life from the Loam, we're going to be able to start getting these lands out there, start making our land drops turn after turn, if we can get it to resolve. And then after that, you know, as we keep dredging through Life from the Loam, that will keep us open on Volraz Stronghold, which will, you know, allow us to grab something like Blood Artist or something like that. If we can just put Blood Artist on top of our library twice and sack it with High Market, we'll be in a pretty good spot. So we're pretty much, you know, one of the ways to think about dredging is, you know, we're looking at 3 cards instead of 1 card per turn. And so that's definitely how we're going to be treating Life from the Loam. But yes, our opponent's sitting at 2 right now. My goodness. All right, there's going to be Trinket Mage coming down. And, yeah, just wish we could just squeak out a little, you know, if we had a Golgari Shock or something right now, that'd be a pretty good feeling. So, all right, so opponent's going to go for Trinket Mage. Just get this popped out and see what they end up grabbing. That's going to be Mox Opal. And they do end up playing Mox Opal right away. So it's going to be Mox Opal on the battlefield. And that's going to be See the Truth. And have they cast anything out of the graveyard just yet? And if they go for See from the Truth out of the graveyard, yeah, it looks like they might be able to grab those 3. I think, yep, that is correct. My goodness, that is that's some overwhelming value right there. All right, so that we'll put them back up to 6. And let's go for the Sapseep Forest activation. And excuse me, we have to have green permanents, not... I forgot it was a green permanent activation. So, all right, so let's go for a Life from the Loam. Let's go Life from the Loam onto Field of the Dead. Let's go for Gingerbread Cabin and Wither Balloon. Actually, we'll go Bloodstained Mire. All right, so let's go for that. Okay, so let's get Field of the Dead onto the battlefield. That's going to be another zombie that we can get going. All right, so that's a good sign. Our opponent did not have Countermagic for that. And then anything else, let's go and pass the turn to our opponent. So we've got at least a zombie on the battlefield. It's going to be a 2/2. We are looking at a 3/4 in Kess, so before we can swing in with the zombie army, we probably need to get a few more going. But with Bloodstained Mire, there's at least going to be a zombie on the battlefield next turn. Whatever land we grab off of Bloodstained Mire, there'll be another zombie. And that might be enough for us to kind of squeak in some damage if we can. We'll kind of see what's happening. And the other good thing is about Mana Vault being out there is that they have to be very, very careful with their life total. Now, if we can find some sort of Blood Artist effect. No, excuse me. Yeah, we do have Blood Artist in the actual... We have Blood Artist. Yeah, excuse me. I looked over that. So we do have Blood Artist in our graveyard. So if we end up going Volrath Stronghold, Blood Artist on top, we have a high market activation that'll drop them down to 1. Yeah, we're okay with a Braid on Zombie token. Because next turn we can just go high market. Okay, I kind of like that. So let's see what else they have. But yeah, for some reason I completely skipped over Blood Artist. So we can actually put Blood Artist on top. And then that might allow us to kind of squeeze this game out. We'll see. All right, we see. All right, so we got Kess swinging in for 3. That's going to put us down to 41. And that'll be 6 total commander damage. So we're not super worried about a commander damage win from our opponent, at least right now. And let's go to the end step. Let's go Volrath Stronghold. So that will put Blood Artist on top of our library. So we're just immediately going to go for a blood, not Dredge Life from the Loam because we don't want to do that. But draw into that Blood Artist and let's see if we can't. Yeah, I like this. So let's see if we can get Blood Artist to stick. They did not have a counterspell from that last Life from the Loam, so I'm hoping this is good. Maybe they're holding on to it for Blood Artist. But either way, once again, that still puts us back into the Volrath Stronghold line of play to where we can put it back down. All right, so let's go for Bloodstained Mire. That's going to be an extra zombie token. And if they do get some sort of stack interaction going on right now, we can crack Bloodstained Mire in response to that trigger and still go for a high market activation. So there we go. All right. So at this point right now, I think what we'll do is we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. So they're sitting at 2. They can't crack Misty. Because as soon as they do, we'll go and crack Bloodstained Mire. In response to that, get another zombie. We can go for that sack on the zombie, drain them for a life, and that'll put them down to 1. They still have Mana Vault untapped at this point. Okay, so opponent's going to go Kolaghan's Command. And target player discards a card, deals 2 damage to any target. And actually with them doing that, that is perfect. Because, yeah, because what we do is we go for sacrifice a creature, we sacrifice the zombie. That's going to drain them for 1, and then whenever Blood Artist dies, because that's not an exile effect. Yeah, that should be game right there. That should be it. Let's see. We'll discard Gingerbread Cabin. Oh, yes, that is beautiful. There we go. All right, we're going to knock our opponent down to 0. Get that last little Blood Artist trigger on the stack. Yes, yes, yes. We got it. Okay, there we go. So, knock our opponent down to 0. We go up to 44. You can definitely see that this is, you know, when I was throwing the deck together, that was kind of what I had in mind, was building something that's going to slowly chip away at our opponent's life total over the course of the game. And then you get down something like a Blood Artist effect and start kind of, which unfortunately I did miss that earlier in the game, so we could have probably gotten that down a little bit quicker. But then I finally saw that underneath Veto, and then we got that line of play going. So, but once again, first time playing with this commander, so if it was a little sloppy, I do apologize, but at least we got a good game out of it. Got him down to 2, and then we're able to kind of figure it out with Field of the Dead and high market. You know, that's one of the good things about a deck like this, is having lands that you can sacrifice creatures or just getting extra bodies on the battlefield that allows you to win the game. So, anyways, if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.